Hi everyone, this is JaneTaff with Sage.
And Deanna Vestal, your career catalyst.
With the Lipstick Leadership Legacy Podcast. This episode is sponsored by the Career Path Development Group and Taff Enterprises.
The Lipstick Leadership Legacy Podcast is hosted by two sassy, intelligent, tell it like it is women here in the Sacramento, California area. Each week we dish about culture, women in leadership, current events, and any other juicy topics that affect the leadership experience.
Our goal is to inform, entertain, and evoke curiosity, inspiring you to provocative conversations in the workplace, among your friends, and with your loved ones.
We're so glad you're joining us today via podcast and our YouTube channel. But did you know we also have a meetup community now? Check us out in the information in our description box. You can hear our voices, see our faces, join our community by subscribing. So click that subscribe button so you can keep up with us.
Yes, and happy, healthy new year. It is only the second Friday of the year. And I don't know about you, but this is the time that everyone is evaluating mainly their health, right? And so we're really talking about health and our main topic of January, which is mindset. A whole ball of wax about health, mental health, physical health, and nutrition as well. And we're really looking forward to discussing those health aspects with our special guest. But first, let's talk about those different ways to connect. We mentioned all those three ways that we have going on to have you see us, hear us, and connect with us. First, let's talk about listening to us. If you found us on YouTube, did you know that we actually have an actual podcast? You can find us on L3P.buzzsprout.com. And if you did the other way and you're listening to us right now, you can catch us on our YouTube channel by finding L3P or Lipstick Leadership Legacy Podcast, and you'll find us there. And finally, what we mentioned that we're so excited about is our L3P community on Meetup. So go to meetup.com and look for the Lipstick Legacy Leadership community, and you'll find us there.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jane. You know, this whole month, like you said, we'll be sharing ideas about health and the mindset experience with our special guest, Taylor Desmangles. And you can connect with her on Instagram at Just Say Tay or on her website, justsaytay.com. She's a young adult who has her finger on the pulse of leadership, style, and the significance of integrated health. And Taylor is like so many young adults today who appreciate her friends and family, who look great on social media and take care of herself, but yet have struggled with anxiety and is deeply affected by what's going on in her community and the world. What makes me so proud is that she fights to make a difference in as many ways as she can. And I'm glad to have her on with us so that she can talk to us about how she connects to what's important. Because you and I talk often about how the journey is the destination. And for those of us who value that journey, there are still gaping questions about the meaning of pain, injustice, and pressure. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Taylor. Let's bring her on. Hi, Taylor.
Hi, Taylor. Welcome.
Thank you so much. That was an awesome intro. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you here. And we mentioned so many personal things in our introduction. And so it really means a lot to us to have you agree to come and share with us in our L3P community. How are you?
I am feeling very centered right now. I was just talking about how I'm trying to use more descriptive words outside of just good and fine and tired. And so today my word is centered. So
I like that. I like that
Wonderful.
so much. And you were mentioning to us earlier that you had that interaction at work where your coworkers and yourself are committed to answering questions authentically. I think it's so cool that you have a workplace that allows you to be more true to who you are. I appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. They are the ones who got us on this within the new year, who got us on this kick of, we're going to check in with each other every day before meetings. I mean, we've been doing that, but when we check in, we're going to use more descriptive words. And like they shared this website with us where there's a whole bunch of word options to choose from, like in these buckets, like, okay, you're feeling annoyed, this is different ways to say that. If you're feeling satisfied, this is different ways to say that. So it's definitely a different experience than I've ever had at any job or with any like employer relationship. And it's definitely appreciated. I'm very grateful to have that.
Yeah,
Shout out to the Soze agency. We are Soze. Hashtag we are
Yes.
Soze.
that
Yes.
is so awesome. And I love that you are surrounded in a wellness or oriented organization. You know, they're worried about your health and wellness. And I really think that has a lot of benefits for our young people and anyone actually who's in the workplace. There's enough stress with the work, right?
Definitely. And they like offer freaking unlimited vacation. We have like one mental health day, or yeah, one mental health day a month. We get, encouraged to seek out any type of mental health or self-care or community care practice that we feel would benefit us. And they're always just like, and not only are we encouraged, but they provide money like within our salaries for us to do so. So it's unlike any other space that I've been or even really heard about. So it's a blessing to
So they're
say.
putting their money where their mouth is.
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
is a rare company these days. Even though we talk a lot about these things, rarely do companies provide the time and the resources to their employees to really make it happen. So,
Yeah.
Taylor, we're working through health and well being for the next 3 episodes with you. So, we're talking about that mental health aspect, physical health aspect, and nutrition. And today, we're really going to talk about physical health because we know that you had quite a journey. So, how did you get into this journey of health and well being?
Yeah. So when I was younger, I feel like it started off just like being young. I was introduced to like healthier eating and how emotions can affect your body. Um, I'd always gotten kind of weird, strange ailments that doctors couldn't fully explain. Like one of them was like an inflamed rib cage that came out of nowhere. It was so crazy, and so I started to experience my own challenges with health. I tried different Western medicine and doctors, but I was just still experiencing issues. I felt just like I was exhausting all the resources that were convenient.
Mhm.
And so I started doing research on other ways of healing. I started getting really, really interested in holistic wellness and healing practices of like ancestors and elders who come before. And once I found that and I started experimenting with like herbs and essential oils and eating for my body, there was just no going back.
Wow. So, what were some of the physical ailments that you experienced? You mentioned one kind of a flare up, but what were kind of the laundry list of ailments that you were battling continuously and they were a mystery?
Yeah, well, definitely like I had a really bad backache for a long time. And I thought, like I would wake up in the middle of the night and have to use the restroom. But like at the same time, my back would be extremely sore until I went to the restroom. And I thought it was just kind of like I didn't even know really what it was, but I knew that it wasn't normal. And so I kind of suffered with that for a long time before finding out that it was like my gallbladder being inflamed, like having gut health issues. So like really struggling with constipation and struggling with finding a balance of how to eat right in order to kind of go around those ailments. So those were a few of like the more the ones that were at the top of my list of really being like, what is happening, and taking literally years to be uncovered.
Yeah. And this really started for you as a teenager, yes?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you were struggling with being a teenager and all that means.
Yeah.
And some serious physical issues, physical health issues that seemed a mystery. That
Yes.
must have
So
taken a toll on you.
it definitely did. When I was younger, when I was a teenager, I didn't really like the physical, hadn't really hit as much. Like that didn't really start happening, like those strange kind of ailments. I had like asthma from a young age, but the physical ailments, the strange ones, didn't really start happening until after high school, like probably 19 or 20 years old. But what did happen when I was still in high school, the day after my 18th birthday, I had my first panic attack.
Ah,
Yeah, so I was in class and I had to excuse myself because I could feel myself losing my breath. I was shaking so bad. I was sweating. My breathing was shallow, and it felt like my heart was just beating 100 miles a minute, super hard. I honestly, I thought I was dying. Like, I can kind of laugh about it now because it seems dramatic, but the situation was really dramatic. And I had the school call my mom and call the ambulance. I asked the counselor to pray with me because I was like, this is it. You know, this is it.
yeah.
Take me now. I'm coming, Elizabeth, you know. Like I thought that was that. When the ambulance showed up, they, you know, did their basic things that they needed to do, check my blood pressure, check my heart and all the things. And they were like, well, you know, you were just experiencing anxiety, what we call a panic attack, anxiety attack. So just go home, take a nap, eat something. And I was like, what? How could something so huge be such a seemingly basic explanation? So it kind of blew my mind. And for the next year after that, I experienced really, really severe panic attacks once to twice per day, every day for that next year. I couldn't go places alone. I couldn't drive at night or really at all. I didn't like being around large groups. I lost a lot of weight from stress. I went from like a size 9 to a size 3, which I had never been in my life. And it was just the exact opposite of who I had been. And I truly thought I'd never be the same again.
Wow. Wow. From one day to the next.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's incredible. I mean, and what's interesting for us and those who listen to us is I want to ask you out there who are listening to us in our L3P community, how many of you can say right now, me too? I know I can. Deanna's got her hand up. And panic attacks are no joke. They feel like heart attacks. What you are describing, Taylor, I understand it as somebody who's had a panic attack or panic attacks. And I know Deanna and I have talked about it, and we have all kinds of Me Too going on over here. And it's so true. And it creates kind of a level of PTSD. When is it going to happen again? How bad is it going to be? Is it going to be worse than the last one? And your mind starts spinning, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So whether you're an extrovert or an introvert, and especially knowing Taylor, who does not want negative attention ever, 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 that is part of the pressure. That's part of the fear. Would you say that, Taylor?
Definitely. Definitely. It's not something that you want to happen around. It's not, first off, it's not something you want to happen, but it's definitely not something that you want to happen around people, or that I wanted to happen around people that I cared about. Like I didn't want to feel like a burden or feel like I didn't, I guess, have it together or come off like, you're tripping or you're crazy, like
Mhm.
literally nothing's going on. Like, why are you so freaked out right now? Because a lot of people don't understand and won't meet you with that calm energy and that gentleness. Some people, I've had experiences where people are like, what's wrong with you? Like, just sit down. Like, and it's like, I can't. Like,
Yeah,
it's really hard. It's painful, but in another way. Like,
right.
because it's all up here. Like, there's seemingly on the outside, it doesn't look like there's anything wrong, but on the inside, it feels like my world is coming to a crashing, screeching halt.
Mhm.
And yeah, I've experienced panic attacks with friends and with partners, and I would say that, like, when I did experience it with one of my close friends, one of my closest friends, I was still embarrassed because we were having a good time. We had just got done doing a yoga class. We went out to eat afterward, and we were just talking, and I felt it creeping. Like, and like Jane, you were saying, that PTSD, it's sometimes like when you feel it, when you kind of lose control, when you start feeling like on your shoulders,
Mhm.
it's like you try to like, let me get it together. And it almost kind of makes it worse. Like,
Yeah,
and so I was embarrassed because I was like, okay, I need to leave. It was very abrupt. Once
right.
again, just pretty dramatic. And she ended up telling me afterward, like, I don't want you to feel like you can't be yourself with me, and I'm here to support you, and whatever you need, don't even worry about it. And it helped a lot for her to say that, because it, like I said before, it sometimes does feel just like you're a burden to other people.
Yeah, it's so true. And we need to bring you back along with the other panelists to talk about, the blessing of friendship.
Mm,
But you bring another aspect of that where they can hold you when you feel like you're going to break apart. And I
yeah.
love that you brought that out. So let's get back to when you finally focused on your health and realized, okay, traditional medicine's not working for me. I need a combo platter of how to approach myself. What did you do and how did you get focused?
Yeah. So I was introduced to what I now know as guided meditation. So one day, so while I was still 18, but I had moved. Now I'm not in high school anymore. Now I'm in college, out of state, very far away from home. I was introduced to the guided meditations. I was up late and I saw a commercial about panic attacks, which was really strange for the time. It was 2011 and like 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was this older lady on the screen, talking about her CDs that help folks who experience anxiety. I ordered the CDs just that minute because I was like, I had never seen anybody really talking about it very publicly, or let alone seeing something broadcast on TV talking about, like, oh, you have anxiety, let's handle that together. So I was like, oh my gosh, I need to hop on this opportunity. So I ordered. I think that was probably the first time I had ever ordered anything from the television. And I got the set, and that's really when my deeper healing journey began. I would listen to those CDs every night as I went to sleep, and in the morning, it was probably about between 5 to 10 minutes that I would listen to it, and it would just be really gentle stories of how to let my mind relax. And the panic attacks stopped happening as often, and eventually, not at all.
Mm.
It took them about 3 months to really like start to make a sizable change, like to where I was just like, oh my gosh, like, wait, I haven't felt anxious at all. Yeah, I would say about 3 months of consistently doing that, to really change everything.
Wow, so the TV commercials kind of saved you.
Yeah,
Crazy but
yeah.
true.
Yeah, for sure. I wish I remembered. After this, I might Google like what she's doing now, like, because I can't remember her name or what she was, but I'm sure if I type in, 2011 anxiety CDs, something might come up.
Absolutely. We can find anything on the internet.
Yeah.
Yes. So when you started focus on, it was almost accidental that you started focusing in a different way then.
Definitely. I literally thought that that was just going to be my life. Like, my life is just this, what it is now, I'll never be able to do things the way I want them again. And, so yeah, it was completely accidental.
Yeah. And I always like to say new information, new direction, right? Whenever we get some new information, we can make new decisions or we can have new ideas. But you didn't even know to go looking for something new because you had already looked at traditional medicine, Eastern medicine, alternative medicine, yet it wasn't medicine, it was actually a practice, which
Yes.
was really, I think I think we can safely say there is no one size fits all magic bullet when we're talking about health concerns, and
Mhm.
you really need to exhaust and sometimes let in, right? Like you happen to be in the right place at the right time for this commercial, not only to happen, but you let it in.
Mhm.
Like you were open enough to let it penetrate and connect and say yes to.
Yes.
And those are a lot of things in the universe to go right for that to happen, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And it was really interesting because it was one of those things that, like, when you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you have those random commercials playing, it's usually those things that are like, you know,
Useless.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
useless or like what?
Yes, exactly. And it was like a whole segment. So it wasn't just like a quick commercial. It played for like 20 minutes. Like it was a whole little show going on,
Just for
just
you,
like
Taylor.
amplifying. Yeah. So it definitely did happen, like, for a reason.
Nice, nice. So we also know that you did some formal education around health. Now, how'd you get into that? Would you recommend it? What's your experience around that?
Yeah, so I went to the Integrative Health School, IIN, and they are one of the largest, like, integrative health certifiers, I think, in definite. Well, actually, I'm not going to say the world, but I was going to say Northern America, but they have a lot of people who come from all over the world to take their certification course. It's a year-long course, and it focuses on getting you certified as a integrative health coach. And
Mhm.
so I got into that because basically, so after I was able to come into a balanced state with, like, anxiety and with panic and all that, I just couldn't believe that my mind had such major control over me in that way. And so I knew that, like we were discussing, so many other people had to be experiencing this, and I felt very moved to share this knowledge with others and help them fuel their own healing processes. um, in my bio on Instagram, I say I heal others by healing myself. And
Mhm.
so I really went into that certification course really wanting to learn more about different methods of healing through nutrition and emotional health for me. Um, there are a lot of people, many folks who start a business afterwards through health coaching, which is super awesome. And I love the idea of it. But I definitely just wanted to more so expand what I knew. And also, when I do choose to talk about certain things that help my emotional health and my mental health and, like, the way that I eat, I wanted to be able to share that with folks confidently, knowing that I did have that certification behind me. I mean, there's so much more knowledge to learn in that, but I just was like, I'm gonna just take that leap, take that step, and start to scratch the surface in that. So yeah, and I once again, I wanted to make it clear that I am a health coach and not a health practitioner. There are, like, differences, and it can get a little um, dangerous to walk that line of, not being clear of what, like, our titles and our roles are. But a health coach is really someone who helps folks to help find that balance within their own lives in health, wellness, emotions, family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for that clarification because we know a lot of our listeners are going to start seeking different individuals in this particular industry, and we want to make sure when they hear the words or designations of coach, practitioner, etc., that they know what they are licensed or approved to do. It's just like the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist, right?
Yeah.
They are licensed to do certain different things, very different things from each other, as well as that lane they occupy together. So I really appreciate you being clear about that. All right, let's talk a little bit. We'll pause with Taylor for a little bit because this has been juicy, right, Deanna?
Very good. Yes.
I love it. And, you know, we want to talk a little bit about our book that is for our book discussion this month. So we have a book discussion group on the fourth Thursday of every month, and you can find that on our meetup.com L3P community group. And we have picked Mindset, of course, because that's our theme for January, by Carol Dweck. And why are we kicking off this book besides the obvious? Really, I am one of those people who believe this particular book is foundational. It's foundational for setting your belief, for figuring out what we think and why we think, so that you can orient your thoughts towards success both personally and professionally. So think about it. What you think, how you think colors every interaction, right? Whether it's in your favor or not in your favor, what you think creates feelings and feelings create behavior. I mean, wouldn't you want to make sure your behaviors are in line with your truth?
Yes.
Or the truth, the actual truth, not your made up story about what's going on? I'm currently on a reading schedule with this sucker, and I have this book with me all the time. In fact, it's tucked into my purse right now, or I would hold it up. But I've really been enjoying revisiting its finer points. It's very well researched for those of you who love data and information and research that backs information, because listen, we're not here to just take people's word for it. I love, Taylor, that you talked about, when I talk about health, I want knowledge behind that. I want people to know I actually did some researched work behind that. Mm-hmm. Same thing with this book. Carol Dweck is a researcher who has put, I think there are 25 pages of her resource references in this book at the end. And so it's very well done and oh so practical for what we're talking about here. All right, let's get back to you, Taylor. So you talked about your journey and what you physically felt when you were experiencing ailments, and particularly about panic attacks, what you did, and how you earned a certification in integrative health to really push your knowledge too, so that you can be an informed encourager when you talk to other people about health and wellness. Now, what kind of tips could you leave with our listeners and people who catch us on YouTube? What tips do you want to share with them that might be universally true for good physical health at this point?
Yeah, definitely. Well, tip number one, I would say, would be know the why behind what you're doing. So be intentional about what you do when it comes to your health. There's all types of diets and workout trends that come and go. So sticking to your personal why is really key to reaching the goals that work for you. You know, we all have different bodies, different goals, different foods that mix with us and don't mix with us. And you know what I mean? And I think that it's just really important to make sure that we all know that every body is different and is beautiful. And each person has their own purpose behind what they do. Tip number two would be to eat with purpose. So, and when I say eating with purpose, I mean to truly focus on what you eat and how you eat. sitting down, not standing up, sitting down, taking your time, trying not to zone out when you're eating and really be in the moment. I know for me, I'm definitely guilty of that, you know, of standing and eating, of, you know, finding a 2-hour Netflix movie before I eat my 10-minute meal, you know,
That's
and
right.
zone out while I'm just eating. And when we do just focus and really just stay in that moment with our eating, it helps us to know when we're truly full and not overeat. Pay attention to how the food is reacting with our bodies, which is, I think, the most important. Because when you really do like let yourself pay attention to that, you can feel if what you're eating is causing inflammation or discomfort, or if you feel really good and really light. And that can really play a big role in just your overall emotional state. And tip 3 is like a classic: to drink water and to breathe. I like to say, when in doubt, drink a glass of water and breathe it out. You know?
Yes.
Love that. Hey, there's nothing better than those 3 tips. So, okay, I'm a note taker, so I wrote some notes. I wrote it big. So know your why and be intentional. Eat with purpose. Girl, I was with you on eating on purpose until you mentioned Netflix. I was like, doggone it, she called me out.
Me too. It's me too.
Yes,
okay.
me too.
And the 3rd tip, drink water and breathe. You're right. It's so basic, but it's true that we are often dehydrated and we are breathing very superficially, kind of here,
Shallow.
not deeper. And I really appreciate those tips. Any questions, Deanna, for Taylor that are burning? I've kind of monopolized her time here. Any questions from you?
Well, I really enjoyed listening to the two of you converse, actually. And because I know Taylor quite well, I can also recall those times of a deep dive into the Ayurvedic lifestyle and trying to make that what works. And then a deep dive into yoga and proper breathing to see if that would work. And then really being very committed to the protocol of a naturopath or a natural practitioner. And for what I've enjoyed in listening is talking about how the integrative health experience allows for a more balanced and maybe an off the shelf, a little of this, a little of that, and with intention to be a practitioner of self, if you will. I realize that we're not using the word practitioner with a capital P, but in knowing your body and some of the things that Taylor's advised us to do today at the basic level, it really also has to do with touching in or, recapping with yourself and being able to be flexible. And so my question, Taylor, how have the holidays treated you physically, and how then were you able to be flexible with yourself and also find a balance so that you could get back to work and feel good about it?
Yeah. Well, I definitely, when people ask me like, oh, are you a vegetarian? Are you vegan? Like, what do you do? You know what I mean? I tend to tell them like, I'm a flexitarian.
I like
Right
it.
on.
You know what I mean? I'm a flexitarian. I go with, I try to be I try my best to eat real food, like eat whole foods. So, not too much processed, not too much, not processed, not out of a bag or out of a can, you know what I mean? Like not never, which is where the flex comes in, you know what I mean? But just majority of the time. So I would say this holiday season was definitely, I had gone pretty disciplined for like leading up to the holidays, and then so that I could just kind of splurge on the holidays without getting any kickback from my body. But I definitely went in. Like I think I to be honest, I think I overdid it a little bit. Like, but I mean, it was a fun time. It was a great time, like to just like be not working, not have to really think about too much, and really just kind of allow myself to just eat what tastes good, and you know what I mean? But I will say that I have been kind of paying for it. Like, I was mentioning earlier that my gallbladder will tell me like in my gut and in my back, like when I've overdid it on a certain amount of food. And now that I know what those symptoms are, and I know like what triggers it, I can instantly be like, oh, I need to reel it back in. You know, I'm starting to feel these feelings. It's time to reel
You're
it
like, I was good with one bite.
in. Yeah,
It ain't gonna be
exactly.
good with 2 bites.
Right, exactly. It's been more so like I was good with doing it 2 days in a row. I don't know if I can do it 3 days in a row.
And so for
So
you, do you have a protocol for getting back on track? Do you do intermittent fasting, or do you go with the bone broth, which has been traditional for gut health? And I'm really curious about how you get back on track when you're feeling the pain or the kickback, as you said, from eating more flexible.
yeah, definitely. So I do practice intermittent fasting. I would I don't keep a strict time, like how a lot of people who practice intermittent fasting will be like, you know, I don't eat between the hours of this and this, and then like that and that. Like I more so will, you know, drink a like coconut water with spirulina in the morning, and then like not eat until about maybe like 2 or 3. And when I do like eat something that's, I guess, more eat something living like vegetables or soup, like some broth, like you said. Um, and yeah, really try to incorporate beets, like beet juice is really great for me. And so is like celery and parsley and cucumber mixed together. That kind of juice is really good. So those are like my go-tos, is like some sauteed vegetables, nothing raw, because raw foods like work for some people, but doesn't always work for everyone. And for me, like I can't do raw vegetables, especially when I'm like feeling inflamed. So some sauteed vegetables, some broth, some beet juice, celery juice, coconut water, spirulina. Those are my go-tos. That's my, that is what I do. And I usually try and stick to that, and not overdoing it on anything, like on any, no meat, fish, wild caught, maybe, you know, every now and again. And I try to keep up that for about a week, and I can start feeling the results in about 3 days of staying consistent. And that's when it's like the hardest, because when you stop feeling the pain, you're like, oh, well, okay, I'm gonna make some, you know, baked chicken or something like that. And but after about a week, I usually I feel very like reset. I like to aim like what I did before the holidays. I did it for a month, and it was definitely like I feel great. Like it makes me feel very good. Like it makes me feel like my skin is clear, and I feel like I could do anything, and I get to sleep all throughout the whole night. Whereas if I do it for a week, the pain is gone, but I still might have like issues sleeping throughout the whole night without having to get up and use the restroom, or, you know, if I eat one bad thing or one thing that goes against my own body, it'll kind of like, my body won't have the tools to fight back as hard as if I stay consistent for longer. So
I
yeah.
really appreciate you sharing from your personal story, you know, and a lot of us coaches are trained to share or help our client audience share their story, or how to pull that out from them. And in our L3P community, we're really telling it like it is. We are on a Me Too movement, and the way to do that is by opening up and sharing from our own stories, our own history. And you just do that so eloquently without much prompting at all. So you are absolutely our kind of chick, our kind of leader, and our kind of professional. We appreciate you so much. And in the upcoming weeks and months, you can please feel free to join us. We do have some offline chats where when Jane and I meet, we record every session. And sometimes we say things that are so good to us anyway, that we call it that hallway chat. You know, when we used to have day jobs in an actual physical office, you would meet someone from another department or someone even on your team that you would never talk about things that you might in the hallway. So when you're passing each other and you start off with a casual conversation, but then sometimes the best ideas and some of the most insightful solutions come from these chats. And we'll be having more of those that you are welcome to join in on with us, and will be posted on our YouTube channel. Um, Today, coming on our podcast has been such a delight because we are intentional about being intergenerational. It is amazing to listen to the leadership, the authenticity, the passion that you have. Taylor reflects your entire age group. And we are so proud to represent that on our podcast and in our book discussion groups that will be starting this month and going throughout the year. We hope that you will join us. And of course, this month, our book is Mindset by Miss Carol Dweck. And we'll be talking about that on the last Thursday of the month. And I have one more. Actually, we have some trainings and masterminds. Are you familiar with the term or the mastermind group and methodology?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Oh, awesome. Okay, Jane, can you talk a little bit about what a mastermind is?
Sure. I love mastermind groups, and it's probably an outflowing of like a common interest group where you really gather together with a purpose, whether that purpose is a bunch of executives who say we are going to learn about how to become better leaders, or we're going to gather together to learn to be better communicators. It's a gathered group for a particular purpose. It could be for a particular time frame, but really it's the purpose that is the center point of a mastermind. And the objective is not only to achieve the purpose, but also the success of all the participants of the group.
And it's really structured. I mean, depending on where you get your structure from might determine the flow of your mastermind. But it's a capital M. So you can actually look it up if you're interested to learn more about what masterminds are. Ours are focused on our expertise, professional development, personal growth, and communication. So we're creating a brand new community here, and we hope you'll continue to join us for all the fun, frivolity, and all the sassiness you can handle every single week.
Yeah, and really the bottom line is you heard so many great, wonderful health tips. She gave three very practical, doable tips. I want to thank you, Taylor Desmangles, for being here and just sharing your experience with us in such an honest and transparent way. So, what's our sneak peek for next week?
So next week, we're going to be connecting to my brand of crazy, a focus on mental health.
And that's not just Deanna's brand of crazy. It's me personally. You all, in Texas, we say all y'all brand of crazy. It's our personal brands of crazy, right?
Yes, absolutely. Crazy, it's in my own upbringing, crazy was a really good thing, or it was really a crazy thing, but mostly said in fun, in gist. And, as we are growing in our professionalism and being more intentional about how we think and process information and share with each other, we're finding that it is okay to be crazy, and talking about where we are wild at or where our thoughts are haywire is actually a really important way to connect with each other. And so that's what we mean in saying connecting to my brand of crazy, a focus on mental health.
Yes, and we want to just thank you, our listeners and our watchers, for tuning in to this week's Lipstick Leadership Legacy podcast. This is Jane Taff the Sage.
And Deanna Vestal, your career catalyst.
And of course, Taylor too. May your lipstick stay fresh and your attitude stay sassy. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye, everyone.